Welcome to my channel. In this video, I'm going to build this COVID-19 tracker application from scratch in React Native. So in this project, I'm going to show you how to use navigation and how to navigate between screens in React Native. So this is basically a home screen and this is an emergency screen. So in the home screen, you can see the active cases, new cases, deaths and recovered patients from all over the world, or you can search for a specific country to see the stats of that country. So let's say I will search for Turkey. Click on the search button and you can see the statistics for Turkey and the icon for that Turkey changes. Okay, so let's say if I search for India, so you can see the flag is right left with the country name. Okay, so let's say Spain. The flag changes with the country name and you can see the stats for that specific country. Okay, so this is a modern UI. I'm going to show you how to build this from scratch. So in this emergency screen, there is basically help for the COVID-19 resources and all that help. These are the links here. So if you press any link, this is basically redirect to that help links. So let's say I'm going to search for the laboratories. Click on this and the browser will open and this website is gonna open, so you can see the information about COVID-19 and all that stuff. Go back to Expo app and this is basically tells you call 911 for emergency. So there are two screens here. So if you're excited for this project, let's start building it. In this section, let's create our new project for our COVID-19 app. Open Visual Studio Code and click on Open Folder. I'm going to create a folder in my desktop. So I'm going to name it COVID-19. Open it in the Visual Studio Code. Now to create new project in React Native, there is a command called expo init. So let's implement that. Open new terminal and type in the terminal expo init dot. Click on blank and wait for the Javascript dependencies installation. So we successfully created our project. So let's run this project in an iOS emulator. So the command is expo start. Now after that, press I. It will basically open this project in the iOS emulator automatically. So you can see emulator is showing up and wait for that to run this project. Now our app is successfully running in the emulator. Go to app.js file and you can see there is a text over here which is showing in the emulator. So in this section, I'm going to show you how to use navigation in React Native application. So first of all, go to app.js file and remove the style sheet. We don't need the styles for a app.js file. Save the file and okay. So remove this also. Okay, so now let's remove this as well. Right, now go to browser and search for React navigation. Click on the first link, read docs, and down below copy this command npm install react navigation /native. Go back to Visual Studio Code and open the new terminal and paste that command here and press enter. Now go back to browser and in the guide section search for the tab navigation. Okay, so copy this command react navigation / bottom tabs. Copy from here and paste it in the terminal and install that as well. Okay, so if we successfully install the packages for our React navigation, go to package.json file and you can see there are the packages that we just installed right in the terminal. Now in app.js file, let's import the package dependencies in the import statement. So import that first statement, that is navigation container. And this function is coming from React navigation bottom tabs. Sorry, React navigation native, right? This one. Now let's import another package which is bottom tabs. And this is coming from React navigation bottom tabs package. Okay, so before the app function, let's initialize the bottom navigator. This is basically a function like this. Okay, so remove this view component, and the wrapper for that app.js file is basically navigation container, right? In the navigation container, I'm going to initialize the tab navigator. So tab.navigator like this. Now I'm going to initialize the first screen, which is basically our home screen, right? So tab.screen. Okay, so I'm going to name it home, and the next prop is basically component, and component name is home as well. Okay, so okay, that's it. And the next screen will be our emergency screen. Let's use tab.screen again and name it to emergency. And the component will be emergency, which I will just create later, right? Like this. Save this file. Okay, so this variable can't find variable home, so let's create these screens in the project structure. So in the project structure, I'm going to create a new folder called components, and in that folder I'm going to create two components, which is basically home and emergency. Home.js, and create a new file for emergency, emergency.js. Go to home.js and import React from React. So export default function. I'm going to name it home, and the return statement is basically a text component from React Native. Hello from home. Import this text from React Native. Okay, now import this home component in app.js file. Right, so go to emergency.js and copy all the stuff from this home component and paste it in the emergency. change the component name. Okay, save this file, go to app.js and import emergency as well, like this. Okay, so you can see we successfully initialized our React navigation in our React Native app. This is a home screen and this is emergency screen. Okay, go to emergency and let's say hello from emergency. Now if we go to home screen, you can see hello from home, and in emergency screen you can see hello from emergency. Now for the screens, I will add the icons for that two screens, for the home and for the emergency as well. Now go to browser and search for React Native vector icons. Okay, so click on the first link. No, second one. Okay, so copy this command, go back to the studio code and paste it in the terminal. After that, in app.js file, let's import icon from that package. This one /font awesome. Right, so in the tab navigator, I'm going to define some screen options. So it is an object, so an object basically take three keys. First one is tab bar active tint color. And I'm going to name it white. Second one is tab bar style. It is an object which takes background color. So the color will be dark blue. So the third key will be header shown, and I'm going to name it false. Right, save this file and you can see our color has been added in the navigation, home and emergency. So in the tab.screen, I'm going to add another prop options. So in the options, takes an object. So there is a function called tab.icon, and by destructuring, which takes focus from that object. And for the arrow function syntax, I'm going to initialize the icon in that function, which basically returns this icon component. And the name for the home screen will be home. Color is basically white. If focus is true, then white color will apply, and if no, then light color will apply. And the size of that icon, let's say 30 pixels. Close this component, and that's it. Okay, go to the next screen, apply that options as well. And the name of that icon is ambulance. Let's wrap this icon component in the tab bar icon function. Copy this component and paste it in the tab bar icon function. So our icons is not showing here. So the reason is basically this function returns this icon component. So change the braces, change the curly braces to the return braces. Save this file and you can see our icon is showing here. Change this as well, like this. Save this file and you can see our icons have been added successfully. There is emergency screen and this is home screen. Now it's time to start building UI for our home screen. Go to home.js file and let's start building it. First of all, let's import all the packages and components that we need to build this UI. So import useState as well from React, and from React Native I'm going to import all the packages that we need. Import the icons as well. Now in the insert statement, the wrapper component will be touchable without feedback, and which takes onPress handler, and the value will be keyboard.distance function. After that, view is basically a div for our React Native app. So let's add our style sheet. Now in that view, create a new view. And in that I'm going to add text input field. Placeholder will be search country. And placeholder text color will be light gray. Close that, save this file, and let's see our results here. Okay, so in that style sheet, let's add some styles to see the UI properly. Okay, our background color is applied successfully, and okay, now for the search container. Okay, our text input has been added also. Okay, it is working, right? Now for the input. Save this file and let's see the result. Okay, our text input is looking amazing, right? So let's create a function for that search input field right here. So for that, after the text input, I'm going to use touchable opacity. And in that, I'm going to add icon to it, and the name will be search. Color is white, and size will be 30 pixels, like this. So to fix that error is basically this icon is coming from this package /ion icons. Add that as well. Now save this file and reload our app. Press R in the terminal and you can see our error is gone and our button is added successfully with the search icon. So now it's time to add styles to it. Copy this and paste it here. Okay, our search button is looking good with the text input, right? Now it's time to add our heading. After that, let's create a new view container. I'm going to use text component from React Native and add styles to it. And the heading will be stay home. Copy this and paste right down, and the next one will be stay safe. Save the file and you can see the result over here. Now add styles to it. Okay, you can see this looks amazing and beautiful with the UI of our app. Now let's add image to the right of the heading. You can use any image from the Google or anywhere else from the internet. So I'm going to use this image right this in from the assets folder, right? So after the heading container, I'm going to add the image. So use image from React Native. So the prop will be source, and basically it takes a function which is a require function, and I'm going to add path to it, assets, and the name of that file. Now close this and save the file, and you can see your image has been added successfully. Now change the width and height of this image. Okay, so this looks good now. Now it's time to add our cards for the statistics for our of COVID-19. Create another view. I'm going to use divider. Okay, so now I'll just add this divider, basically a line which differentiates the between the two components. So after that, let's start to build the cards. So after the divider, create a new view container. Okay, now I've added all the cards that we need. Now it's time to add styles to it. Okay, I've added the styles for our cards. Now for the card text. That's right. And before the card, add the styles for that country and the country flag, right? Now let's add image below the cards. First I'm going to add image in the assets folder, right? You can add any image as you want. So the name of my image is new folder.png. Close this and save this. Now you can see the image has been added. Now add styling to it. So we successfully added UI for our home screen. So basically our UI for home screen is completed. Now let's start building the UI of our emergency screen. Okay. Now go to emergency.js and import all the packages that we need. Also import all the styles from the home.js file. Import icons from React Native vector icons. And in that I'm going to use ion icons. Okay, I'm done for all the imports here. So now let's start building UI for our emergency screen. Create the style sheet first. Okay, so the container style is basically coming from home.js file. So remove the container. Okay, so it says styles has already been declared. So I'm going to name it just only style. Save this and okay. So go to home.js and add export statement before the style variable like this. Save this, go to emergency.js and you can see the style has been applied from the home.js file, right? Okay, so now let's start building UI. Save this and you can see our UI is building up. Now add some styles to it before working on the UI. Okay, so UI is building up. Now add the UI above. Okay, so after the view container, let's add another view. For our cards. You can add styles in the view container as well. Okay, so now this is perfect. Now let's add view. Like this. Okay, so after that, let's add another view container. Copy this and paste 4 times. Like this. You can see your card is displaying in the emulator, right? So change the text inputs and the icons. Now it's time to add styles. This looks good now. Now add the styles for the resources cards. Save this file and you can see our UI looks good now. I have done all the styles for the emergency screen. Now in this section I'm going to add the links in the cards that will redirect and open in the browser. So for that I'm going to use linking, which is built in React Native, that I just imported in the import statement above. Okay, so in the icons I'm going to add on press handlers on all the so it is basically on press handler basically takes a callback function. And now let's use linking, and linking basically takes two functions, open URL and catch. So you can add any link that you want to add. I'm going to use mine, this one, right? So after that, it's basically a promise, so I'm going to use catch. If there is an error, then the error is shown in the console. Like this. So now save this. So I just add this link in the I just added in this component called 911. So copy this from on press, move from here and paste it in the CDC action here. Save this file, and when we click this CDC action component, you can see our linking is working fine now, and you can see the link is directed and opened in the browser. Go back to Expo and add all the links that we need. So for the communication resources, there is another link. And add the global COVID-19 link for the global card. Add guidance link, and now the last one is basically laboratories. Save this file. So if we press on CDC action, you can see the link is redirected in the CDC action page on the internet. Go back to Expo, click on communication resources, and now communication resources has been opened in the browser, which will basically show you all the details and stats and everything else about the COVID-19. If we click laboratories, you can see the laboratories link in the browser. Okay, so now we successfully done with the emergency screen and all that functionality, linking and styles, all that stuff. Now it's time to add the real logic for our home screen, which will basically comes from API and all that stuff for the country icons and country name and everything else. Now first of all, let me change the color of the status bar. Go to app.js file and import status bar from React Native. Right, so in the navigation container, add that component status bar, and bar style will be light content. Close this one, save this file, and reload the app. Okay, so remove this one status bar which is coming from Expo status bar, and now rerun the server. Command will be expo start. Now press I. Now in the emulator, click on reload. Okay, so you can see our status bar color is now white, that we just added in the bar style light content, because I'm using dark color which is dark blue, so it looks good, the white color of the status bar. Now it's time to add the functionality in the home.js component. Go to home.js and add all the states that we need for. Okay, so before the return statement, first let's import real state. It's already imported. Now let's define our first state, which is for the country image. Now for that, to change that image, let's create a function which is set country image, and it is coming from use state. Let's add another state for all the data which is coming from API, and this is also equal to use state. Now this state is basically a search for our input, which is an empty string by default. Now this state is basically for the stats, like active cases, news cases, and all that stuff, right? So to change that, or create that function set stats. So by default, basically it is an object, and object by default is empty, right? So the last one is basically for the country, for the specific country, right? So the default will be global, right? So if the user do not enters or search any specific country, the cases shown will be global from all over the world, right? So that's why I'm using this global string by default in the country variable. So now let's create a function to fetch data from the API. So this function is basically async, and I'm going to name it fetch data. Create a variable, get data, and use await and fetch function and the link of the API. I will provide this link in the description, you can use that as well. So the link is basically api.covid19api.com/summary. That's it. Now get that response from this API link. Use await and get data.json, convert it into JSON. Okay, so now I'm going to use that function set data, because all the data coming from this API is going to store in the data variable. So to change that, use data function and put that response in that data variable, right? Okay, so I'm going to show you something. Copy this link, go to browser and paste that link here. So here you can see all the JSON data coming from this API link. So first of all, let me change this into JSON formatter by using the Chrome Web extension. So go to Chrome Web Store and search for JSON. Now add this extension in the Chrome. Now it has been added. Go back to this link and reload this page. Now it has been converted successfully into JSON. You can say in a better form. So it is basically an whole object which has an ID, message, and global stats of COVID-19 and the specific country of COVID-19, right? It's an object. Global is also an object, and the countries array which takes an object from the specific country. Now go back to Visual Studio Code, and in that function fetch data, I'm going to use set stats function, this one, right? And this one takes is basically I added an empty object by default, so I'm going to initialize the object. So the first key will be active cases, and this is equal to response dot global dot total confirm. This one. So the new cases, response dot global dot new confirm. And for the deaths, response dot global dot new deaths. Recovered, response dot global dot recovered, right? So it's an object which is coming from this API link and store it into the stats variable by using set stats function. The response is basically a whole object, and in that object I'm going to grab this global object. You can see in that JSON formatter link, global object which has these properties: new confirm, total confirm, new deaths, total deaths, and total recovered. So I'm using that case and store that in that object by using this new defined case, right? So after that, grab this function set country, this one, and I just added this global by default. So by default this one is also global. Save this, and nothing is happening. So go to this UI section, remove this active one, and by the JSX syntax, so all the cases, all the stats of COVID-19 is going to store in the stats variable, which is coming from this API link. So now print that stats dot active cases, save that file. Okay, so now for the new stats dot new cases, deaths stats dot new deaths. Now for the recovered, stats dot new recovered, like this. Okay, now in the above I'm going to create another function and name it to show results. So I'm going to grab this variable data and map to the data dot countries, which basically this one, this array, countries array, right? Dot map function, which takes a particular item and index of that particular item. I'm going to use object destructuring, grab the country and country code, which is basically equal to that item, right? You can see in the link there is a country and the country code key. I just grabbed it from particular item by using object destruction. So now if I say if search, this one is equal to country name, then I'm going to grab setStats function and add the new object to it, right? So active cases now is equal to item dot total confirmed. New case is also is equal to new confirmed of that particular country that we will add later in the search input, right? So that is now item dot new deaths of that particular country. Okay, so after that I'm going to change the country name also. So country name is equal to search input. Okay, now for the country image, I'm going to grab that function set country image and grab that country code from object destruction method. Like this, dot to lowercase. Okay, so now after that, let's say I want to hide the keyboard after the results and empty the text input. So now let's test our functionality. So the search button, I'm going to use onPress handler, which takes a callback function, and the function will be show results. So change the country by using JSX change it to country. Okay, so you can see global is showing by default. So cases is not showing basically stats. So let's fix that. So if I type India and search for India, so there is an error showing here. First of all, let's change this to HTTPS, right? Now down below, change this to just stats.deaths, right? Stats.recovered. Now I'm going to use effect hook to call this fetch data function. And this hook takes a callback function, and in that I'm going to call this fetch data function and add the empty dependency array, right? Okay, so you can see our global data is showing in the card successfully, right? Now I'm going to add the image according to that country. Okay, so in that image, add source prop, which is equal to country. So if country is equal to global, right? If this is true, then I'm going to add this image by using required function, and let's copy my image to this one, right? Okay, assets folder, give the path of that image, and the name of that file is word.jpg. And if country not equal to global, then I'm going to call an object, and the prop is URI, and it is equal to this country API, this one, and the country code will be country image by using country image value, this one. Okay, so you can see our global image has been added here. Now go to the text input field, this one, right? So the default value will be search, and on chain text which takes a random text and call that search function and store the input value in the search variable, right? So now let's test our functionality. If we search for, let's say, India, click on press button. Okay, there's an error. Let me fix that. Error is basically here, so I have to change it to lowercase. Save this file and reload the app. So our app is running successfully. Global data is showing of COVID. So let's say India, click on search button, and you can see the stats of COVID-19 according to this country, and the country flag is also changing. So I'm going to search for Turkey, and you can see Turkey is here. Now search for let's say France. France is showing. Now let's try again Spain. Now the Spain's stat of COVID-19 is showing here. So congratulations, our app is completed now. we just built our COVID-19 track with modern UI. If you like this video, subscribe to the channel and share this video.